Horizon Chance, Omursushi reacts, and this is how we could build a moon base today. Space Colonization 1 by the channel Kurzgesagt in a nutshell. Yeah, I saw the Mars video, how to colonize Mars, and obviously the latest video about Venus. This is another colonization video of moon. I think, moon is easily doable since we've been to the moon many times. Going to the moon, using resources and just, building a base there, it's not that hard. When it comes to Mars and Venus, those are, months-long journey. Moon doesn't require that much of a travel. It's so easy to communicate too. So moon is a doable thing, and building a moon base is also better if you want to explore more of the solar system, because launching things from Earth is always going to be costly. Because of the gravity and all the atmosphere, while from the moon, launching rockets is going to be easy. Mine asteroids and get all the resources that way. It's much easier to launch and collect things. So yeah, moon base is more sensible thing because it's our moon. It's the closest base we can have. So it's better thing to do. So I guess moon base is a sensible thing, but the problem is going to be same, the politicians. This will require decades probably, and during that politicians are not going to spend money into that. I'm pretty sure the cost of this is not going to be that high. With all the latest technology, going to the moon and creating a base is not going to be that high. But still, politicians would not spend money, because why would they? It requires more than their tenure is probably going to be. So they'll be like, what's the point of building a base there? Is there a return that we can get immediately? That's their thinking. Even though in the past, whenever there's been any kind of big space missions like Apollo programs or anything like that, that has resulted great technology that spearheaded growth of every countries in the world even today. So, but still, politicians like, I don't see it. If I don't see it, same thing a century ago, everybody like, I don't see the atom. Why do I care about the atom? Why would I spend money to research that? They didn't know how, quantum physics is going to change, quantum mechanics, quantum physics is going to change everything. So, I hope, that there is a moon base soon. That's if not USA, then collaboration of all countries create some international base at least. But yeah. Remember, if you like my reaction, don't forget to subscribe, check out the reaction, there's a link in the description, check out the cards or different places, check out the end cards, and yeah, let's do this one.
Humans dream about leaving Earth and travelling through the galaxy. But we were born too early to be part of it. Or were we? The reality is, we could begin our dream by building a moon base today. We actually do have the technology, and current estimates from NASA and the private sector say it could be done for $20 to $40 billion spread.
There you go, a decade. I mean, that is still close enough. I don't know what, 10 years is not bad. But still, politicians would not do it because, first of all, shaking up the budget to spend this much, okay, this is the program. It's kind of a hard thing to sell in the Senate. Like, what is the immediate benefit? That's the question rise up. And, usually when all the money goes to the different type of military thing, it's usually all the big companies paid up these senators. So they're like, why wouldn't I put this 40 billion into the military budget? Even though military budget is already way too high. This is what, 1% or something like that. So this is nothing comparing US military budget. And even if all the countries pitch in and create some kind of international base, this cost would go down for every country. But still, this is I don't know. Let's just say NASA's budget has been going down every year for a long time. So I highly doubt this is going to happen anytime soon. But yeah,
spread out over about a decade. The price is comparable to the International Space Station or the budget surplus of Germany in 2017. Not that big an investment, really. The payoff would be immeasurable. The moon is a sandbox to develop new technologies and exploit unlimited resources. It would start a new space race and lay the foundation for us to spread out into the solar system and beyond. It would create a vast array of new technologies to benefit us on Earth, and we would all be part of it. So why aren't we doing it? Well, sadly, it's hard to get governments interested in long-term investments in the future of humanity. Let's imagine just doing it. If we start today, how would we build a moon base? Throughout history, colonization happened in phases. In the first phase of the age of exploration of the New World, for example, European monarchs funded expeditions to chart and discover and to stake their claims. They planted a flag and set up a camp, but they didn't stay. In the second phase, small missions set up outposts and settlements were founded, which were still very dependent on their home countries for supplies. Some failed, but others survived and established a permanent presence. Only then, in the third phase, did a true colony form to which tradesmen and labourers could emigrate, creating new wealth and opportunities for themselves and their families, sending extreme wealth back to their countries of origin.
Phase 4, kick out your origin country and claim independence.
When we colonize the moon, we'll go through the same three phases. This time, without murdering millions of innocent people in the process. The moon is not a welcoming place for living things. A moon day lasts 29 Earth days, with a difference of nearly 300 degrees Celsius between sunlight and shade. There's no atmosphere to shield us from meteorites, big and small, or cosmic radiation. Worse still, the lunar surface is covered in a layer of nasty, jagged dust. The moon is hard, but we're good at doing hard things. In the first phase of lunar colonization, our explorers proved it can be done, that a new world can be reached. This phase started 60 years ago with the Apollo missions. Since then, satellites like the American Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter have mapped the moon, while rovers like the Chinese Yutu have studied the composition of the lunar surface, looking for water ice and metals. Phase 1 is more or less complete. We know what we need to know to enter Phase 2. In the second phase, astronauts will build the first moon base, and this could begin today. The first small moon base could be completed in a decade. The first nation that establishes this base will be akin to the First Nations building outposts in the New World 500 years ago. It's expensive to send rockets to the moon, so...
Yeah, look, here's the thing. In the past, whenever, Columbus and everybody landed on the new countries, new continents, basically planted the flag, that was more of a military thing than explorer thing. Spanish just wanted their flags and wanted to claim territories. During the Apollo program, only reason USA went to the moon because Russia was trying to go there too, and it was a Cold War. As soon as Soviet Union collapsed, all the plans for different moon missions collapsed with it. So only way to do this is to claim that resources are running low, and it's a kind of a war that we need to mine asteroids. And only way to do that is have a base, permanent base on the moon, and we have to go there first before Russians, Chinese, or anybody else go there. That is the only pitching thing that people in the NASA and in the US basically can pitch into the Senate, and that would work. That would have the war driver, getting there first, and getting resources, getting rich driver. That is the only thing that would get this done. Otherwise, for the science, the bill would not pass. The budget would not pass. No way.
So we will send as little as possible. The base will be light, little more than inflatable habitats for crews of no more than 12, and will be deployed somewhere with a natural shelter. Options include caves, like underground lava tube tunnels or craters near the poles, where the days are 6 months long. These astronauts will not stay long. The habitat is likely to be abandoned between missions, as solar panels cannot generate electricity during the lunar night. But they'll do the groundwork to enable humans to stay permanently. Our first crew will consist of scientists and engineers who will study the composition of the moon and whose experiments will explore ways of using the available lunar material, say purifying lunar ice and turning it into water for human use. And water is important for far more than drinking. They can use it to experiment with growing plants for food. Hydrogen fuel cells will store power through the long night, extending astronaut stays. And most importantly, it can be split into hydrogen and oxygen, rocket fuel. By harvesting water from the moon and putting it into orbit, the moon base will supply an orbital depot where scientific missions to Mars and the outer solar system can refuel. Compared to the Earth, it's much easier and cheaper to get things off the moon into orbit.
There you go.
Colonizing Mars may mean starting from the moon. But this isn't a true colony, not yet. The base will be a
Making moon a permanent launching pad to launch different things from different places would work greatly, especially for the long distances, because you need relatively low fuel to launch from the moon. It would work as a great close to home base.
abandoned if funding stops. If we want our base to grow into the third phase, into a true colony, it must become self-sufficient, supporting itself via exports to Earth. Now, private contractors arrive, looking to get rich off lunar resources and support services. If it's cheaper to produce rocket fuel in space, what else can they get rich on? They could extract precious metals, abundant.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. As soon as any government agencies or NASA's or anybody is make things here like this and makes it more self-sufficient, and it becomes clear that we have certain things, certain technologies and certain way of doing things that would cost this particular money. We know that now, that it costs this money to create this kind of base. And from there you can easily extract certain materials and minerals and things like that, and then take it to the Earth and sell them, and you would make profit. There you go. The private companies would suddenly leap to that, and it becomes this whole thing. Then it's easier. Then you don't rely on government funding. Private agencies will start to do things, because now you can put it onto the sheet like this will require this much money, this much investment, and it will yield this much profit.
In impact craters and other raw materials from the lunar regolith. One promising possibility is the mining of helium-3, an isotope that could one day be used in nuclear fusion reactors, something the Chinese lunar exploration program is currently looking into.
Chinese are looking into that.
Future colonists may export helium-3 back to Earth, providing us with cheap and clean fusion energy. Asteroids could be pulled into the moon's orbit and mined. With commercial exports to Earth, the colony is fully in its third phase, self-sufficient and economically productive. Our base will begin using lunar material in its construction projects if it's to continue growing. Fortunately, lunar soil has all the necessary ingredients to make concrete. Robotic mining rigs can sift the lunar dust for organic molecules and could be used to build huge structures way too massive to be brought from Earth, while advances in 3D printing will make it possible to produce almost everything else the crews need. It's hard to say when exactly the colony becomes self-sustaining. Growth is gradual, experiments are replaced by industry, and the population steadily reaches the hundreds, encompassing more than just scientists. Engineers, pilots, and contractors representing countries and corporations will be present.
Yeah, see, the thing is, what I said about politicians, that applies to the US and democratic countries basically. I feel like China, when they already said that this is the president for life, right now, China can do this because they don't have to, pass things through Senate and everything. It's just formality anyway. It's more of a government-run things. So government can just decide this is more profitable. We need resources and Moon has it, and we can make a base there. They could get it done in a few decades, I guess. That's why Chinese are right now researching helium-3 and everything. So maybe Chinese would do it in a few decades at best.
Two of these people will make a breakthrough. Not scientific, but social. They will have the first extraterrestrial child. Throughout history, the birth of the first child was celebrated as a moment where the seed of a colony finally and irreversibly took root. Here, it means that the moon is not just a place for scientists and engineers to work, it's a place for people to live, to raise a family. Once this transition happens, the colony grows rapidly, building more habitats and schools and farms and all the things needed to support the growing population. As our colony grows, all kinds of new technologies will be invented to sustain it. They might develop crops that efficiently recycle carbon dioxide or that grow with very little water. They might find ways to recycle and reuse 100% of their waste, technologies that are extremely valuable for Earth. They could even build the first space elevator in the solar system. With a space elevator, spacecraft, astronauts, and raw materials could be brought back and forth from lunar orbit without needing to use rockets at all. The moon may become a hub for economic activity on a scale that's hard to imagine right now.
Yeah.
It's hard to say who will own the colony at this point. Will the first person born on the moon take the national identity of their parents, or will a new generation meld together into a new lunar?
Yeah, playing the Borderlands 2 game, in that you can see the how there is Borderlands 2, I don't know, one of the Borderlands game where you can see the moon and it's lit up with all these lights and things because there's a colony there. You feel like that, right? Looking up and there will be lights there. Even when the moon is, at a different phase where it's dark, but in the dark you can see lights there or something like that. That would be awesome.
Society. And when existing treaties that bar any nation from owning the moon are inevitably rewritten, will the colonists be given a say? Will they declare independence from the Earth? However it happens,
they will.
The moon is a perfect sandbox to learn how to colonize the solar system, the perfect project to unify nations, and the only way to guarantee our survival as a species should something tragic happen on Earth.
Yeah, I don't like that. See, every time anybody says about we should go to Mars, we should go to here, what if something happens to the Earth? Yeah, that shouldn't be our mentality. If something happens to the Earth, maybe asteroid, we should stop that or something. Not that we let half people, let's say, we go to Mars and shift half, 5 billion or something, half the population there. So what if a catastrophe happens at Earth? We'll let the 5 other billion die, thinking at the time 10 billion is the population. So no, that's not the thing. We should do it as a frontier, not to, just what if something bad happens at Earth. But yeah, and moon people claiming independence. I don't know how that works. You can't breathe on moon. So, if something goes wrong, everybody's dead type of thing. It's not like if nothing happens, you can just sit there without worry. No, it's not like that. There is no wildlife you can hunt and for food or something like that. So I guess there is not going to be independence or something. Everybody will be earthborn, claimed earthborn in the end, even if they get born on the moon.
If we ever want to colonize the Milky Way, we'll have to start somewhere. So why not start there?
Yeah.
Why not start now? While unfortunately you can't jump on a...
Yeah, people, go to brilliant.org/nutshell and support this channel. Yeah, moon base is the most sensible thing you can think of because it will make lots of future projects easy. You want to go anywhere, starting from the moon is easier. Moon is a base of operation type of thing. Rather than launch missiles from Earth, it would be much easier there. Like he said, space elevator would make things even more easier. So moon is the most sensible thing that I think is going to happen soon. Regardless of whatever politicians say, one day there will be a point like, okay, Chinese are way too close to building a base on the moon. Now we have to act. And then US and every other country will, basically race to, create bases there. It will happen basically. Alright people, that was how we could build a moon base today by the Kurzgesagt in a nutshell. If you like my reaction to food, like, subscribe, check out the reaction I did. There's a link in the description. Check out the cards, role play, check out the end cards, and I'll see you next time.